Welcome again to the Old Principle. I am the Old Principle, and today's lesson is number 150. 150. Surrogate mothers. I bet you never heard of that word before. But before we get into the story, and by the way, this is my own story. It's about a part of my life that I will tell to you today. But before we get into that, we'll ask my wife Connie to read the story to us.
Number 150, Surrogate Mothers. Surrogate mother, one who attempts to serve as a mother. During the 4 years after the death of my mother, several surrogate mothers came into my life. The one who influenced me most was Aunt Martha, who lived across the street. When Mom died, Aunt Martha realized our needs. She invited us to her home more often than she had done before. One of the most important things she did was to take us to church with her family. We weren't churchgoers, so attending church was strange to us. But my brother and I soon got involved. We wore white robes, carried a cross, and lit candles for services. Sometimes we attended youth activities. But religion seemed more like a club. My cousins and my friends went to the club. I didn't go to church to learn about God, worship Him, or to learn from the Bible. It was just an interesting activity that filled the void left from my mother's death. But Aunt Martha couldn't do everything. She and Uncle Keith lived in Grandfather's house and took care of him. And she had 3 children of her own. So, because Dad worked every day, he hired housekeepers to live with us. I remember only 3 of them. One housekeeper was actually a young couple. All I remember was that the lady was a poor cook. The next housekeeper was an old single woman. She had the disgusting habit of lighting her cigarettes with matches she scratched across the wall. That left ugly marks all over the place. The third housekeeper was a mother and her daughter. This lady wanted to marry Dad and told me how she felt. But even at my young age, I could see that she wouldn't be good for Dad. Fortunately, Dad wasn't interested in her. And so the surrogate mother period of my life came and went.
Okay, so now we will continue our story here. This is number 150, Surrogate Mothers. Surrogate mother. Now, here is the definition. A surrogate mother is one who attempts to serve as a mother. What does it mean to attempt? 他试一试，要做母亲。Well, actually, if you really want to know the dictionary definition of surrogate mother, there's 2 definitions. Okay, one is, the way I use it, is a 养母. 养母. Sometimes said 保姆, and later in the lesson I will use the word 保姆. Okay, so 养母. Nowadays, 现代非常现代化的a surrogate mother is 代孕怀孕的孕. But that is not so common. That's very modern phenomenon, 这个现象. So, we need to go on to the next slide. During the 4 years after the death of my mother, several surrogate mothers came into my life. Okay, now If you've been watching our program, now and then I tell this story. When I was 11 years old, my mother died of cancer. 因为癌症就去世了. Okay? So 4 years, during the 4 years, so 1, 2, 3, 4 years, 4 years, during 在那些4年期间, okay, I had several surrogate mothers came into my life. Okay, in other words, my father was a busy businessman, and he had many things to do. We had 3 children, and so it was just impossible for Dad to take care of 3 children. So he hired what we called housekeepers. But what I'm calling here, sometimes I'll call them housekeepers, sometimes I'll call them surrogate mothers. Going on. The one who influenced me most was my Aunt Martha, and my dad didn't have to hire her. Aunt Martha, 我的阿姨, she lived right across the street. Who lived across the street? 刚好我们家对面，她住在那个地方。Actually, do you want to know what she did? She was taking care of my grandfather for many years. 她照顾我的祖父. Okay, so this is what my Aunt Martha did. So in a way, she was a surrogate mother. She acted like a mother. Many things that she did for us would be things that my mother would have done. Okay, going on. When Mom died, Aunt Martha realized, when my mother died, Aunt Martha, Martha 我的阿姨, she realized 意识到 our needs. We had needs. Yes. Growing up children, I was 11, 12, 13, 14. During those years, I had certain needs. She invited us to her home. She invited us to her home. How far away was it? It was across the street, right? 刚好我们家对面，过马路的对面。And she did this more often than she had done before. Of course, because we didn't have a mother, so she did it more often, 更加多次. Going on. One of the most important things she did was to take us to church with her family. Now, this is interesting because we never went to church. We didn't have any religion. 我们根本没有宗教. Okay? 我们你可以说没有信仰. We just had nothing. So one of the most important things, 她认为是最重要. She was to take us to church with her family, 跟她自己的家一起上教堂. Going on. We weren't churchgoers. Now, what does it mean when I say we weren't churchgoers? It simply means that we didn't go to church. 我们没有上教堂. Okay, so we put 2 words together, church, go to church. Okay, we weren't churchgoers, so attending church was strange to us. Yeah, very, very strange to us for sure. 对我们来说是蛮奇怪的. Going on. But my brother and I soon got involved. Okay, because, and you will see this in just a little bit, my brother and I, we didn't have anything to do. Children don't have anything to do. So my brother and I, 很快 soon got involved, 就开始参与他们的活动。Going on. We wore white robes. Woo! We wore white robes. 这个白色的这个长袍。We wore white robes. We carried a cross in our hands. We lit candles, 点蜡烛. So these are the things that we did during their services, for the services. 他们的会议，我们是这样做。We didn't know what we were doing. 我们根本不晓得是做什么的。But we did it because the other young people were doing it. Sometimes, 有时候, we attended youth activities. These youth activities, 青年活动, so we attended them, 也参与. Going on. But, and this is a very interesting thing, but religion seemed more like a club. And this was my experience. Religion seemed 好像是一个俱乐部一样. It was just something that my cousins did. 我的表姐还有表妹所做的. Okay? My cousins and my friends went to the club. 他们是上这个俱乐部. They called it church. For me, I thought it was a club. Religion didn't mean a great deal to me at that time. I didn't go to church to learn about God. 我上教堂并不是说要学习到神. I simply went to church because my friends went to church, not because of God. 我对神一点都不了解。那时候 okay? I didn't go to church to learn about God. I didn't go to church to worship Him. 不是去敬拜他 or to learn from the Bible. 我去教堂根本不是因为我要读圣经啊. You know? This just, how can I say? I just did not understand. But the important thing was going on. It was just an interesting activity. It was just an interesting activity that filled the void by my mother's death. Okay, what does fill the void? 空虚. 空虚 is this void that's inside everyone has some kind of a void, something that they wish was filled. And so the activity filled 叫填补. So 我母亲去世的这件事情所留下来的这个空虚. So it was just an interesting activity that filled the void left by my mother's death. Going on. But Aunt Martha couldn't do everything. Okay? Because she had 3 children of her own. My cousins, right? Karen and Judy and Grady. And they were all the same age as the 3 of us. So So we had a great time because we were all the same age. Martha couldn't do everything, 并不是没办法做万能的。She couldn't do everything. She and Uncle Keith, okay, 我的姨父 okay, 姨父 Uncle Keith lived in grandfather's house. Well, I already said that. 就是对面是我的祖父的家 okay, and they took care of him, 就照顾他 So they were busy. They had their own family. They had to take care of Grandpa. Grandpa lived until he was 90, more than 90 years old. He lived a long life going on. She had 3 children. See, I mentioned that, of her own. So because Dad worked every day, 因为我的父亲每天工作，每天工作。So he hired housekeepers to take care of us. Okay, now, housekeepers. Okay, surrogate mothers, 养母. What is a housekeeper? A housekeeper, you could translate as 保姆. Okay, so you have housekeepers. And I only remember 3 of them. I think there was more. But sometimes they came and they weren't too good. 有时候就发觉不太合适. So I remember only 3 of them. I'm sure there was more going on. One housekeeper was actually a young couple. Okay? So one housekeeper actually 是一对夫妻啊. Okay? And they were so young. I think they were students at the university. 是大学生. Okay? All I remember was that the lady was a poor cook. That is, that she did not know how to cook very well. 她做的饭做得不好. Okay? That's all I remember about her. It seems to me they had other interesting things, but she was a poor cook. And boys like to eat food, so I just thought, poor cook. Next. The next housekeeper was an old single woman. Old single woman. Old single woman. Going on. She had a disgusting. What does the word disgusting mean? Disgusting. 极坏的. Well, in this case, 极坏的习惯. Disgusting habit of lighting her cigarettes. 点她的香烟. 点她的香烟. How would she light them? Now, I don't know. In America, we had long 这个洋菜, okay? They were quite long. I haven't seen them out here, but in America, we have these long cigarettes. I still remember, 我还记得这个牌子 Diamond 牌子, okay? And she would take her match, okay, and she scratched the wall, 划过这个墙壁, okay? And then, of course, the cigarette would light. I mean, the match would light, and she would light her cigarette. But the thing that my dad didn't like was that every time she did that, to 点他的香烟. Every time it left ugly marks all over the place. 我们全家都有这些 ugly marks, 很难看的这个痕迹啊. And my dad, he just got, I mean, he did not like that. It was very, very disgusting. And finally he said, I can think of a better place for you to work, not our house. So he let her go. How do you say that? 曹有语. Okay. Going on. The third housekeeper was a mother and her daughter. Okay. So this third housekeeper was a mother and she had a daughter. Okay, so you actually have two. The daughter, of course, didn't do anything. The mother did the work, but at least you had them. We lived upstairs. 那我们的地下室非常非常大. So we had a very big basement in our house and a very nice room down there. So the mother and the daughter lived downstairs. Okay, going on. This lady wanted to marry Dad and told me how she felt. Actually, it's quite funny because I was still quite young, and marry my dad. Well, sure, hey, whatever, So 跟我爸爸结婚了. And she even told me, which now I think is 相当奇怪, but in those days it's oh yeah, okay. She said, I still remember the place. It was 我们吃饭的地方啊. And she said, she took me aside and she said, I love your father. Well, she told me, but I don't know whether she told Dad because going on. But even at my young age, I could see that she wouldn't be good for Dad. 我自己认为她对我爸爸来说是不恰当、不合适. Okay, and I was young. I mean, obviously, 我不太懂事. But even I said, no thanks. No, I'm not interested in that. Fortunately, 幸亏, fortunately, Dad wasn't interested in her. My father was a very quiet person. He was a businessman. He did, he was very, very good businessman. Every day he went to work. And, at that time, he just didn't love the lady. And so after a while, my dad said, yeah, I think you should go too. Now, it's true. After about 4 years, my dad did fall in love. And I will tell that story someday. But he did fall in love. My dad did get married again. So that's a story for another time. And my stepmother, 我的后母, my stepmother lived until she was 96 years old. She outlived my father. My father only lived to 91, but my stepmother lived until she was 96. A very important person in my life. But that's a story for another time because it's a very interesting story. Okay, going on. We had and this is the way I end up. And so the surrogate mother period of my life 又来又去. This 4-year period where we had 养母, 保姆, we had these ladies in our home taking care of us 3 children. This period of my life, 这段时间, it came and it went. 又来又去. So that's the story. Today's story was not of some famous person or some football coach or anything. Today's story is just about 老校长, the old principal, and the surrogate period of my life. Okay, now with that, I want to share with you that you can contact us. I have an email. 电邮的地址是 the old principal, 老校长, the old principal at gmail.com. 我们也有一个网站，我们的网站是 www.theoldprincipal.org. Okay? You can actually write a letter to us by going to the Old Principal website. www.theoldprincipal.org. I hope you've enjoyed being with us. I've enjoyed teaching you. And I hope that you will bring a friend and join me next time as we look at another interesting story. Until then, bye-bye for now.